Here is an explanation for the answer to final exam. Question number 21 in Alternative Energy Demystified, 2nd edition. If you have the printed book, you'll find it at the top of page 314. We're talking here about a diamagnetic object. Diamagnetic. Where does that term come from? Well, diamagnetic means that it dilates the magnetic lines of flux that pass through it. That means it actually has a tendency to repel magnetic fields. So which choice is correct? Well, it's going to be choice D. A diamagnetic object will repel either pole of a permanent magnet. Let's look at the other choices. A. Attracts either pole of a permanent magnet. Well, that would be a ferromagnetic object, something like a piece of iron. B. Attracts the north pole of a permanent magnet but repels the south pole. Well, that would be another magnetic south pole. That would repel the south pole and attract the north pole. For example, the south pole of another permanent magnet or the south pole of an electromagnet. C. Attracts the south pole but repels the north pole. Well, again, it would be just the reverse. A magnetic north pole would do that, either an electromagnet or a permanent magnet. D, that's the choice we want again. A diamagnetic object repels either pole of a permanent magnet. E, something that does not affect a magnet or does not interact with a magnet, is a non-magnetic object. A good example of that is glass. Another good example is plastic. Most plastics are like that. You haven't ever seen a magnet attract a piece of glass unless there were iron powder embedded in the glass or something. Well, here's an illustration of a permanent magnet. Here are the lines of flux, characteristic shape of the lines of flux, the contours of the lines of flux around a permanent magnet. There's the north pole, there's the south pole. If we bring a diamagnetic object like that blue ball, whatever that might happen to be, near the north pole of a permanent magnet, it's going to repel that north pole. Same thing with the south pole. It's going to repel the south pole as well. In fact, it's going to repel no matter where we put it in the flux field, because it dilates the lines of flux and tends to expel the magnetic field, thereby repelling the magnet. Well, what kind of object will actually do that? Well, a superconductor will do it. How do we get a superconductor? Well, we can chill a piece of metal very, very near down to absolute zero, near minus 273 degrees Celsius or minus 459 degrees Fahrenheit, as cold as we can get it, as close as we can get it to that absolute 0 point. If we can do that, we can get a superconductor which will have what they call perfect diamagnetism. And that is the basis for magnetic levitation, because obviously if we could get a blue ball like that to repel any magnet anywhere, we could really take advantage of that and get a levitation device. And in fact, that has been done. So again, the correct choice for this question is choice D. It repels either pole of a permanent magnet. That is what a diamagnetic object will do.